Banger after banger.
Finally, Big Hero Chris has come back with his SmackDown review. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, leave me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, community posts. Hit me up if you're The Rock, hit me up if you're John Cena, AJ Styles, Macho Man, whoever, man. And I gotta be honest with you guys, coming into this episode of SmackDown, I really wasn't expecting a lot. But what we got, man, this show was awesome. Like I mentioned, we got the return of The Rock. We got the return of Pat McAfee. John Cena pulled up, man. This was a fun episode of SmackDown. It took me down memory lane and made me feel like I was a kid again, man. Like I was back in the Attitude Era, back in the Ruthless Aggression Era. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get into it, man. It started off with the return of Pat McAfee. Now, earlier in the day, Pat McAfee was on. He has a show on ESPN, and his special guest was The Rock. And one of the things that they talked about was WrestleMania 39. And The Rock admitted that originally it was supposed to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns, but for whatever reason, things fell through, and ultimately we got Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And I'm thinking, Cody ain't finishing that story. At least not at WrestleMania. I feel like Cody's gonna beat Roman's, either a Saudi show or Royal Rumble, and then WrestleMania we're gonna get The Rock versus Roman Reigns. But Cody, my friend, WrestleMania, you ain't finishing that story, big dog. But yeah, Pat McAfee's out. He's talking to the people, and he's interrupted by all people. He's interrupted by Austin Theory. And Austin Theory's out here. He's talking trash about Denver. He's talking trash about Pat McAfee. And Pat McAfee's like, oh, man. This is SmackDown. This is the people show. And when you think about the people, when you think about SmackDown, there's only one person you think of. And that's when we got the return of The Rock. And this place went crazy. It erupted. Babies were flying in the air. You know, people were crying and carrying on. People were chanting Rocky. And it was awesome. And then The Rock went on to talk trash about Austin Theory. And it was crazy because for like a good 10 minutes, The Rock had Denver calling Austin Theory an asshole. He was like, oh, in 3 seconds, this side's gonna say you are, and this side is gonna say an asshole. And they started chanting, and the censors were working overtime because they didn't necessarily bleep it, but they muted it because he had like thousands of people calling this man an asshole. And then once it calmed down a little bit, The Rock was like, alright, now this time, this side's gonna chant you are, and this side's gonna chant an asshole. And it started all over again. And you know, the censors was at the back tired, it was just like crying or whatever. This led to Austin Theory thinking he can get the jump on The Rock, but it's The Rock, man. He's the people's champion. He's my favorite wrestler. He laid the smackdown on Austin Theory's candy ass, hit this man with the people's elbow. It was awesome. And then you even had Pat McAfee hit his own people's elbow, and that was he tried, but that was a pretty cool moment that between The Rock and Pat McAfee in Denver, and that was a great way to start the show. And then this led into our match with Finn Balor and AJ Styles. I'm like, yo, why is SmackDown cooking right now? We got The Rock, we got two former Bullet Club leaders, and they had a pretty solid match. This match ended because the Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, they were causing distraction, and the referee ended up kicking these two jabronis out. And as the referee was trying to deal with them, Big Jimmy Uso came out, and he distracted AJ Styles. Finn Balor got the surprise roll up, and he won. And I'm thinking, okay, so the Judgment Day is trying to recruit Jey Uso, and I don't think that's gonna work out. But what if they can get Jimmy Uso, you know? And apparently Finn Balor had the same idea, because you cut to backstage, Jimmy Uso, he's walking around, and Finn Balor's like, yo, my dog. I'm like, that's not cool. But Finn Balor, he's laying it on pretty thick. He's laying on that that Jehovah's Witness recruitment, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to get Jimmy Uso, and he's like, oh, listen, if we can get the Usos back together, how would that make you feel? And Jimmy, he's thinking about it. But as this is happening, you have Paul Heyman in the background. He's peeping, he's creeping, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to be more, build up towards whatever Jimmy and Jay and the Judgment Day has going on, and then you factor in AJ Styles. But that'll come into play more when we get to the main event segment of the show. Then we had this real cool segment out of nowhere. You had The Rock chopping up with Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee was like, yo, there's somebody behind you that I can't see. But it was John Cena, and they hug. And I was like, oh, 3 times in a lifetime. But yeah, pretty cool moment between The Rock and John Cena. After this, we had the LWO in the middle of the ring. They're talking. Rey Mysterio's making words. He's saying stuff. And Santos Escobar, he's looking. He's like, listen, man, I respect you, Rey. You're my hero. You're my idol. And one of my big dreams is to wrestle my hero for that United States Championship. And Rey Mysterio's like, hold up. You're out here asking me for a title opportunity? And I'm thinking it's about to go down between these two. But Rey was just ribbing him. He was just pulling his leg. And he was like, man, of course you can have this title opportunity. So I'm guessing sometime in the near future, it's going to be Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar for the U.S. title. Or is it? Could we have a new contender? And could that contender's name be Bobby Lashley? Big Bob is back in Denver. He comes out with the Street Profits, and they're saying, listen, man, we're not kidding, man. We're here to take over. The Bloodline, they're falling off, and we're definitely not going to let the LWO take over. So this leads to a tag team match between the Street Profits and Joaquin Wild and the other dude. I'm blanking on his name. I'm sorry, other dude. But this was actually a really quick match, man. Like, the Street Profits ended up clapping these boys' cheeks. El Cumo, you know what I'm saying? Making quick work of the LWO. And then afterwards, I'm thinking that this is the official heel turn, because if you want to get booed, the main thing to do is beat up Rey Mysterio. And that's exactly what the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley did. They beat up Rey Mysterio, they beat up the LWO. And it's looking like the heel turn is kind of complete. The thing is, this happened in Denver, and that's where Bobby Lashley's from. So I don't know if it got the effect that they wanted it to. I mean, people were booing, but people were also still cheering for Bobby Lashley, because it's Bobby Lashley. Everybody loves Bobby Lashley, and everybody loves the Street Profits. So I'm thinking they're heels, but who knows? We'll see where this goes. So we had the big rematch, and they built this up like it was a WrestleMania rematch or something. It was LA Knight taking on The Miz. And this was commercial free. Like they were rolling into it. They went from the package to the entrance to the match, and it felt like they were trying to like build it up like a premium live event match. LA Knight eventually got the win. It was a pretty solid match. LA Knight getting a big reaction, getting big reactions like John Cena and The Rock. So he's the megastar. And then after the match, LA Knight said, look, man, he's here for gold. And he names Seth Rollins, he names Rey Mysterio, he names Gunther, but most importantly, he names the tribal chief Roman Reigns. So it's saying whoever wants it can come get the smoke. And as this is happening, you cut to the back, you see Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, and they're chopping it up like, yo, man, we gotta handle this problem. We also have the problem with Jimmy Uso. He's making deals with the Judgment Day. And Solo's like, listen, before the end of the night, man, I'm gonna finish this problem all by myself. And Paul Heyman's like, yo, call Roman Reigns. He's freaking out, he's crying. One of my favorite moments of the night was the fact that we're getting closer to the return of Pretty Deadly. They're in the back, they're talking to Adam Pearce. And I'm guessing this is leading up to the eventual rematch between the Brawling Brutes and Pretty Deadly. Pretty quick segment. It was entertaining. You got the yes boy, you got the ooh. And Adam Pearce was like, listen, your shoulders hurt. Why are you in a wheelchair? And Pretty Deadly was like, shut up, Baldy. Don't even worry about it. So that was a pretty cool moment. After this, we cut to backstage, and you have Dakota Kai talking to Bayley, and they're talking about the match next week between Asuka and Io Sky. And Bayley's like, listen, I don't know why Io accepted this challenge. He's not ready for Asuka. And she's like, listen, you need to focus on Asuka tonight, because you've been distracted by Shotzi Blackheart. So you need to focus, and you need to get ready for Asuka. So this leads to their match, the main event match between Bayley and Asuka. And this was pretty solid, of course it's going to be a solid, because it's Bayley and Asuka. Bayley lost because, like Dakota Kai said, man, she was distracted by Shotzi. Shotzi came up out of nowhere. Asuka got the surprise roll up, but yeah, man, Damage Control runs off. Asuka and Shotzi stand tall. They're holding hands and bumping fists and snapping fives, whatever. So yeah, man, this is setting up for. So we had 2 matches set up for next week on SmackDown. We have the Street Profits taking on Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio, and of course we have the Women's Championship match between Asuka and Io Sky. A match that a lot of people have been waiting for. A match that I've been waiting for. I'm excited for. So now it's time for the main event segment. We have the Grayson Waller effect featuring John Cena. And Grayson Waller's talking his trash. He's doing his thing. He's saying stuff in a funny Australian accent. John Cena comes out, and the thing is, John Cena didn't get a chance to say anything because before he can even speak, Jimmy Uso comes out, and Jimmy Uso was like, "Listen, John, I told you 2 weeks ago, nobody wants you here. They all came to see Jimmy Uso, and before Jimmy Uso and John Cena can get into it, Solo Sikoa comes out, and I'm like, yo, what's about to go down?" And then it's looking like Solo's about to hit Jimmy in the face with the Samoan spike, but he ends up super kicking John Cena, and then Jimmy and Solo ended up getting the beat down on John Cena. And of all people to come out to make the save, it was The Rock. I'm just playing it was AJ Styles, but it would have been cool if it was The Rock. It wasn't The Rock, it was AJ Styles. They get the upper hand on Jimmy and Solo, and then you heard Paul Heyman telling Solo, "Yo, save Jimmy, save Jimmy." So as far as this whole Jimmy Uso bloodline storyline goes, man, I don't know, because we had The Rock and we had the Usos and Paul Heyman all under the same roof at the same night, but no interaction between any of these entities, between these Samoan family members, these cousins or whatever. I feel like once Roman comes back, whenever he shows up and makes sense of all this, then we'll start to see the bigger picture. But I don't know. It is what it is at this point. As far as SmackDown goes, this was a really fun episode. We saw The Rock, John Cena, LA Knight, man. Fun show. Even though it was only one women's match, still a fun show, man. It gets the honorary W. Oos. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below, man. Let me know what you thought about this episode of SmackDown. Do you think we're going to get The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, man? Where do you think this whole bloodline storyline is going to go? Do you think it's going to be John Cena and AJ versus the Usos? Or Solo and Jimmy? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Be easy. I'm out. Peace.